A rich man fired a poor woman on a Monday morning. He did not know her name. He did not care to know. She had cleaned his office floors for 10 years. 10 years, and he let her go without even looking at her face. 3 weeks later, that same woman walked back into his building. She did not come back to beg. She did not come back to fight. She came back for one small piece of paper. But what she found when she walked through those doors, nobody could have planned it. Nobody could have expected it, and what she chose to do next, right there, in that lobby, in front of everyone, would change both their lives forever. Hold on, friends, because this story is not what you think it is. It is so much bigger than that. His name was Marcus. He was 44 years old, and he owned one of the biggest trading companies in the city. His office was on the top floor of a tall glass building. So tall that when you looked down from his window, the cars below looked like toys, and the people looked like ants. Marcus liked that feeling. He liked being high up. He liked being above things. But the truth, Marcus had not always lived like that. He had grown up poor. Very poor. He knew what it felt like to go to bed hungry. He knew what it felt like to wear shoes with holes in the bottom. His mother had worked herself to the bone every single day, so he could go to school and make something of himself. He had made something of himself. A very big something. But somewhere along the way, he had forgotten something too. Something important. Something his mother had tried to teach him. We will get to that. Her name was Mary, and she is the real heart of this story. Mary was 41 years old. She lived in a small, clean house in a busy part of the city with her 2 children, Joy, who was 20 years old and studying to be a nurse, and Tom, who was 14 and loved maths. Mary had worked in Marcus's building for 10 years. Every single morning, she woke up at 5 o'clock before the sun came up. She made tea, she packed a small lunch, and she walked to the bus stop in the dark, cold air. She arrived at the building at 5:30 before the cleaners, before the guards had finished their night rounds, before even the pigeons on the roof had woken up. She cleaned. She swept. She wiped every surface until it shone. She washed every mirror until you could see your own face perfectly in it. She worked on the top floors, the important floors, the executive floors, where the big bosses sat in big chairs and made big decisions. For 10 years, she kept those floors spotless. Marcus had walked past her every single day for those 10 years. Past her mop, past her bucket, past her blue uniform. He had never once said good morning. He had never once asked her name. She was, to him, the same as the carpet or the light switches, something that simply existed in the background of his important day. Mary did not complain about this. She was not bitter. She was the kind of woman who finds peace in doing a job well, no matter who sees it or who says thank you. She had a quiet strength inside her, the kind you build slowly, when life gives you hard things and you carry them without breaking. But life was about to give Mary something harder than usual. One Monday morning, a young man from the HR office came and found her on the 38th floor. He gave her a white envelope. His hands were shaking a little. He would not look her in the eyes. She opened the envelope. She read the letter inside. It said her services were no longer needed. Her job was gone. Her 10 years were gone. Who's like that one page, one paragraph, finished? The young man said he was sorry. He said it quickly, quietly, like a man who does not really mean it, but has been told to say it anyway. Mary folded the letter. She put it in her pocket. She went back to finish cleaning the bathroom on the 38th floor, because she had started it and she does not leave things unfinished. Then she took the elevator down to the ground floor. She walked out through the big glass doors. She stood on the street, just for a little while, just for herself, alone on that pavement, with the morning traffic rushing past and no one stopping to ask if she was all right. Then she wiped her face. She straightened her back, and she walked to the bus stop. But friends, here is the first thing that does not make sense. The first thing that should make you lean forward and ask, wait, what? The letter that fired Mary. It had been signed at the very top of the company. Not by a manager, not by some middle boss. It had been signed, without even knowing it, by Marcus himself. And Marcus had absolutely no idea who Mary was. But here's the question burning underneath all of this. Why had Mary been fired at all? The company was not losing money. Business was strong, so why, suddenly, were the cleaners on the executive floors being let go? Something was wrong. Something was hidden, and what was hidden was far darker than Mary or Marcus could imagine. 3 weeks after she lost her job, Mary needed one thing: a reference letter, a simple letter on company paper that said, "This person worked here. She was good. She is trustworthy." Without that letter, the new job she was trying for would not take her seriously. HR had promised to send it. They had not sent it, so one Tuesday morning, Mary put on her good blouse, the blue one she kept for important days, and she took the bus back to Marcus's building. She went to the front desk. She gave her name. She asked for the letter. The guard told her to wait. She waited. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then the front doors of the building opened, and Marcus walked in. Mary recognized him right away. She had seen him every morning for 10 years, even though he had never once seen her. She knew the way he walked, fast, straight, like a man going somewhere important. She knew he always wore dark suits. She knew he always had his phone in his right hand, even when he was not using it. But today, something was different. Marcus walked through the doors, and he stopped. He put one hand out against the wall. His face was the color of old ash. Sweat was sitting on his forehead even though the morning was cool. He blinked. He swayed. Mary looked at him, really looked at him, and she knew the way her mother had taught her. Years ago, sitting in the small room where her mother had helped sick people, she knew something was very wrong with this man's heart. She left the front desk. She walked toward him. She stood in front of this man whose company had taken her job, her 10 years, her steady income, without even a proper goodbye. She stood in front of him, and she said, very simply, "Sir, sit down. Right now." He looked at her. His eyes were confused. "I am fine," he said. "You are not fine," she said, and then his legs gave out from under him. Mary caught him. "Or sit right too." He was a big man, and she was not a big woman, and they went down together against the cold lobby wall, her 2 hands gripping his arm, both of them on the floor. "Call an ambulance!" she shouted to the guard, who was standing there with his mouth open. "Now. Move." The lobby exploded into noise. Guards running. People shouting. A phone being grabbed. But Mary was calm. She was very, very calm. She put 2 fingers on Marcus's wrist. She counted his pulse. It was fast. Too fast. Skipping beats. Not right. Not right. "Look at me," she said to him. Firm. Quiet. Just the 2 of them. In the middle of all that noise. "Keep your eyes open." "Look at me." He looked at her. And for the first time in 10 years, the first time ever, truly, Marcus looked at Mary. He did not know who she was. He did not know she had cleaned his floors every morning for a decade. He did not know his own company had taken her job 3 weeks ago. He just looked at the face of a woman who was keeping him alive with nothing but her 2 hands and her calm voice. The ambulance came in 8 minutes. The paramedics took over. They put Marcus on a stretcher. They wheeled him out. Maddie stood up. She brushed off her good blue blouse. She went back to the front desk. She asked again, quietly, for her reference letter. They gave it to her this time, quickly. Without argument, she ordered Italiano. She put it in her bag. She left. She told nobody what had happened. Not Joy. Not Tom. She went home. She cooked dinner. She sat at the table with her children, and she listened to Tom talk about a maths problem he had solved and Joy talk about her studies. She did not think about Marcus again. She had more important things to think about. But Marcus, lying in the hospital with wires on his chest and a machine counting his heartbeats, Marcus was thinking about her, because there was something nobody had told him yet. Something the doctors had just found. And when his assistant Ben came to see him the next morning, Ben, who had been standing by the elevator and had watched everything happen in the lobby, Ben told him the truth. "The woman who helped you," Ben said, "sitting beside the hospital bed, speaking carefully. If she had not held your wrist and kept you awake and counted your pulse, the doctors say it could have gone very badly." Marcus said nothing. "She is called Mary," Ben said. "She used to work in the building." Silence. "Used to," Marcus said slowly. Ben took a breath. "She was let go 3 weeks ago. The memo that went out, she was one of the 12 people who lost their jobs." Marcus lay very still. The monitor beside him beeped quietly. "Steady." "Counting." 12 people," Marcus repeated. "Yes," Ben said. "And what was she doing in the building yesterday?" "Waiting for a reference letter," Ben said, "that HR had not sent her." The room was very quiet. Marcus looked at the ceiling of the hospital room. White and flat and saying nothing. A woman he had never looked at. A woman his company had dismissed without even sending her a proper letter. That woman had walked back into the building she had given 10 years to beg for a piece of paper, and she had found him falling, and she had stayed. Why had she stayed? He closed his eyes. "Find her," he said to Ben. "Please." Ben found her address in the company records. It was not hard, but Ben, who was a smart young man, had also noticed something in the lobby that day. Something he had not yet told Marcus. He had noticed who was standing near the elevator when Marcus walked in. He had noticed the person who had seen Marcus begin to fall, and had turned away, had stepped into the elevator, had gone upstairs. That person was Helen. Helen was Marcus's head of operations. She had been with the company for 9 years. She was always dressed perfectly, always spoke carefully, always had an answer for everything. She walked through the office like someone who owned it. And lately, Ben had noticed, she was acting more and more like someone who wanted to. Helen had seen Marcus in the lobby. Ben was certain of it. He had looked at the security camera recording. He could see it clearly. Helen, by the elevator, turning her head, seeing Marcus against the wall, gray-faced and swaying. And then the elevator doors opened, and she stepped in, and she went upstairs. She had not called for help. She had not told anyone. She had simply left. Why? That was the question sitting in Ben's mind like a stone in still water as he drove to Mary's house 3 days after. Marcus left the hospital. Marcus had insisted on going himself. Not sending a gift, not sending a letter, going himself in plain clothes. No driver. He sat in the small car, his smallest car, his least noticeable one, and drove to a part of the city he had not visited in a very long time. A street full of life, children playing, music from open windows, the smell of food cooking in the evening air, spices and onions, and something sweet he could not name. He knocked. Mary opened the door. She looked at him. He looked at her. He was wearing a simple shirt, no suit. She took a moment, and then she knew him. "You," she said. "Yes," he said. "May I come in?" She stepped aside. The inside of the house was small and very clean. Everything had a place. Nothing was wasted. On the stove, something was cooking rice and stew, the smell of it warm and real. A school bag sat by the door. A nursing textbook was open on the table. Marcus sat down at the small table. Mary sat across from him. She did not offer him anything. She waited. "You helped me," Marcus said. "Yes," Mary said. "You did not have to," he said. "No," she agreed. "I did not." A pause. Outside, children were laughing. "I came to say thank you," Marcus said. Mary looked at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was not angry. It was just very clear. "You did not know my name," she said. "When you signed that paper, the paper that took my job, you did not know my name." Marcus did not look away. "No," he said quietly. "I did not." 10 years, Mary said. "I know." Another silence. "Longer this time." Then Marcus said, "I want to give you your job back. A better one. Mr. Marcus." Her voice stopped him like a hand against a door. "I did not stay and help you so that you would give me something. I helped you because you needed help. That is all." Marcus stared at her. In his whole life, very few people had spoken to him that simply. "I understand that," he said, after a moment. "Do you?" she asked. He was quiet. Then he said, "Honestly, I am trying to—" She looked at him for a long time, the look of a woman who has been lied to enough times to know the difference between a lie and the truth. "Come back tomorrow," she said. "I will think about it." He left. He came back the next day. And the day after that, Mary said very little. But she did not turn him away. On the third day, something happened that changed the whole shape of the story. Ben called Marcus while he was sitting in his car outside Mary's house, just about to knock. "I found something," Ben said. He was speaking quietly, the way people speak when they have found something they did not want to find. "Tell me," Marcus said. "The memo. The one that fired Mary and the others. It did not come from building management, the way we were told. I pulled the original documents. It was started inside our own company, from the operations office." Marcus was very still. "Helen's office," Ben said. The street outside was full of ordinary evening sounds. A radio somewhere, kids shouting, a motorbike. Marcus heard none of it. "Are you sure?" he said. "I am sure," Ben said. "Why would Helen do this?" Marcus asked. "The savings are tiny. It doesn't make business sense." "That is what I kept asking," Ben said. "So I kept looking. And Marcus, there is something else. The agency that replaced the cleaning staff. The company that got the new contract. I traced the ownership of that company." A pause. "It belongs to Helen's brother," Ben said. Marcus got out of the car slowly. He stood on the street. The evening air was warm and smelled of cooking from open windows. Helen had fired 12 people. She had replaced them with a company owned by her own family. She had made money from those 12 empty spaces. She had used the company his mother had sacrificed for him to build, to fill her own pocket. And she had put all of it behind a simple memo, clean, invisible, almost impossible to see. Almost. Marcus knocked on Mary's door. Joy opened it. Mary's daughter, 20 years old, bright eyes, a nursing textbook in her hand. She looked at Marcus. She had her mother's way of looking, straight and clear. No shyness. "You are the man who had my mother fired," she said. "Joy," Mary's voice came from inside. "Yes," Marcus said. "I am." Joy looked at him hard. "Are you here because you feel bad, or because you want to make it right?" Marcus thought about that. "I am not sure yet," he said honestly. "But I am here, and I keep coming back." Joy looked at him a moment longer. Then she stepped aside and let him in. Mary was at the stove. Tom was doing homework at the table. It was a full, warm, living house. The kind of house that holds people carefully, like hands cupping water. Marcus sat down, and Mary said something that made him put down his cup and lean forward. "There was a woman," Mary said quietly. "In the building. I saw her many times. She would come to the executive floors early, before her real working day started, and she would go through the recycling bins. Not to clean them. I could see that. She was looking for things. Papers, I think. One time I saw her take a folded paper out of the bin and put it in her jacket." Marcus looked at her. "What did she look like?" Mary described Helen. Height, hair, the way she walked. Perfect. Marcus said nothing. "Did I say something wrong?" Mary asked. "No," Marcus said slowly. "You said something very right." He stood up. "I have to go. Now," Mary said. "Now," he said. He stopped at the door. He looked back at her. "Mary, what I have just found out, it changes things. It changes a lot of things, and you are part of why I found it." Mary looked at him. "I did not do anything." "You remembered what you saw," he said. "That is not nothing. That is everything." He left. And Joy watched him go. "Mama," Joy said, "I think something big is coming." Mary turned back to the stove. "Something big was already here," she said quietly. "We just could not see it yet." Back at his apartment that night, Marcus sat at his desk and went through everything Ben had sent him. Document after document, contract after contract. He did not sleep. By 3 in the morning, he saw it. This was not just about the cleaning staff. This was not just about a small contract and a family business. This was bigger, much bigger. Helen had been moving pieces on the board for almost a year. She had started with small things, quiet changes to which suppliers the company used, small contracts redirected to companies with connections to her family. Each one was tiny. Each one was easy to miss. Taken together, they told a story. Helen wanted control, not just of the cleaning floors, not just of facilities. She wanted to run Marcus's whole company. She had been building piece by piece, a position so powerful that, when she finally made her move, she would not need Marcus's approval. She would already have everything she needed, and the 12 people she had fired. They were not a mistake. They were a test. She had wanted to see how far she could push before anyone pushed back. Nobody had pushed back until now. Ben called at 6 in the morning, just as the sun was coming up. "I found the email," Ben said. He sounded tired, the one that started all of this. "Before the memo. Before anything?" "Tell me," Marcus said. "Helen wrote to the building manager 11 months ago," Ben said. "She told him to make a list, not of all the cleaning staff, specifically the ones who had been there the longest, the ones on old contracts, the ones that paid a little more, because they had been there so many years." Marcus said nothing. He was listening very carefully. "She said to flag them for priority review," Ben said. Mary was at the top of the list, because she had been there the longest. 10 years. Highest pay band in the cleaning team. "She targeted her on purpose," Marcus said. "Not a question." "Yes," Ben said. "And then replaced her with the agency, her brother's agency, which is being paid more than Mary ever earned, much more. And the difference is going straight into the family." Marcus put the phone down on his desk. He sat in the early morning quiet of his apartment. 42 floors up. The city below him just waking up, stretching, beginning to move. A woman had cleaned his floors for 10 years. She had been put on a list. Her name had been written down, not to honor her work, not to give her something better, but to remove her, to replace her, to use the space she left behind to make money. And the woman who had done this, who had sat in meetings with him, who had given presentations to the board about efficiency and smart leadership, that woman had watched him fall in the lobby and had stepped into the elevator and gone upstairs. She had left him there. Marcus set the meeting with Helen for Thursday morning. He had the email, he had the contracts, he had the ownership records. He had Ben's notes and his own notes, and 3 days of lost sleep written in his eyes. Helen walked in as she always did, back straight, shoes clicking, leather notebook under her arm, a small, polished smile. "Se sat down." She looked at the papers on the desk and she did not blink. "Helen," Marcus said, "I know what you did." He laid out each document one by one. The email, the list, Mary's name at the top. The contracts, her brother's company, the money that had moved. Helen looked at each page. She was quiet, and then she began to talk. She talked for 20 minutes. She was very good at talking. She had an answer for every single thing. The email was misread. She had meant priority review as a positive thing, a review to give the senior staff better contracts. Her brother's company had won the contract fairly, in a competitive tender, and she had not been involved in the decision. The memo had been mishandled by the building manager, not by her. Every penny was accounted for. Every action was defensible. She looked at Marcus when she finished. Her eyes were calm. Her hands were still. She was not afraid. And Marcus felt, in that moment, a terrible feeling. The feeling of a man who has built a strong case and watched it dissolve, brick by brick, under a flood of careful, polished words. Had he been wrong? Had he missed something? Was she going to walk out of this room untouched? He looked down at his phone. There was one last thing Ben had sent him. He had not shown it yet. He slid the phone across the desk to Helen. On the screen was one short video clip. Security camera footage. Lobby level the Tuesday Marcus had collapsed, clear as daylight. Helen by the elevator, her head turning, her eyes finding Marcus against the wall. Her face, just for a second, showing something. Not concern. Not shock. Calculation. Then the elevator doors open, and she steps in. Helen looked at the screen. She said nothing. "You saw me fall," Marcus said quietly, "and you left." The room was very still. "I did not know how serious it was," Helen said, but for the first time her voice was not perfectly smooth. "You are head of operations?" Marcus said. "You are trained in first response. You took the course, yourself. I signed the certificate." Helen said nothing. "You left me there," Marcus said, "because if I died that morning, you were already in position to take over." Helen looked at him for a long time. Then said quietly, clearly, the truest thing she had said all morning. "You were not present, Marcus. You have not been present for 4 years. Someone had to run this company. Someone had to make the hard choices. But he made them." He stood up slowly. He walked to the window. He looked at the city below. The same city he had been looking at for years from up here. The same city that had always looked small from this height. He thought of Mary's house. The small table. The cooking pot. The school bag by the door. Joy's straight, honest eyes. Tom's homework on the table. He turned around. "Mary worked in this building for 10 years, he said. "She woke up at 5 in the morning, every single day. She came to this building before any of us. She cleaned the floors that we walked on. She wiped the mirrors that we looked into. She never once called in sick. She never once left a job, and you put her name on a list, not to reward her, not to keep her, but to remove her, because removing her made space for your brother's money." Helen said nothing. "That is not a hard choice," Marcus said. "That is just greed." Dressed up in business language, Helen's chin lifted slightly. "Everything I did was legal." "I know," Marcus said. "That is the worst part. You did something cruel, and you made it legal, and you thought that meant it was acceptable. I did what was necessary." "No." His voice was not loud. It was very quiet, the kind of quiet that stops a room. "You did what was convenient for you. There is a woman in this city who does things that are necessary, who wakes up before the sun, who carries her family on her back, who walked back into a building that had thrown her away and still stopped to help a stranger on the floor. That woman knows what necessary looks like. You are not in the same conversation as her. If this story is moving you, subscribe now. The ending will change how you see everything." Helen was quiet for a long moment, then sighed. "What are you going to do?" "The board meets on Friday," Marcus said. "I am going to tell them everything." "You will destroy 9 years of my work," she said. "You destroyed it," Marcus said simply. "I am just going to be honest about what you did." Helen stood up. She picked up her notebook. She looked at Marcus with something in her eyes that was hard to read. Not quite shame, not quite anger, something in between. "I saw you fall," she said quietly, "and I thought maybe it was time." She walked out. The door closed behind her without a sound. Marcus stood alone in his office. The city spread below him, 42 floors down. Cars. People. Life moving in every direction. He picked up his phone and called Ben. "Set up a meeting with Mary," he said. "A real one? Proper, formal. Explain everything. Tell her it is her choice. If she says yes, no, we find another way. But ask her," Ben said. "Yes." And Ben learned how to spell her name correctly. Check the old employment records. They spelled it wrong. She never said anything. "I want her to know we know." A pause. Then Ben sighed quietly. "I will take care of it." Marcus looked at the city. "Good," he said. Friday came. The sky over the city was heavy with clouds, the kind that press down low and make the world feel very close and very serious. Marcus walked into the boardroom. The board members were around the long table, 7 people, all older than him, except one, all wearing the careful faces of people who know something important is about to be said. Marcus did not use soft words. He did not use business language. He told the story plainly. The way you tell a story to someone you respect. All of it. The email, The list, Mary's name, the contracts. Helen's brother. Lobby. The security footage. He put the footage on the screen. The room watched Helen step into the elevator in silence. When it was over, no one spoke for a moment. Then the oldest board member, a quiet man named Mr. George, who had known Marcus for 15 years, said, "What do you want from us?" "Three things," Marcus said. "Helen is suspended today, with a full investigation to follow. The agency contract is cancelled, and every person who is let go is offered their job back, with full pay for the weeks they were away. And I want to look at every single contract signed in the last year." Mr. George looked around the table. "All agreed," he said. Every hand went up. Justice is a quiet thing. Friends, it does not come with fireworks or a big celebration. It comes in a room where people raise their hands. It comes in a phone call made on an ordinary afternoon. It comes in a door that opens when before it was closed. Helen resigned before the investigation finished. The findings were clear and were passed to the right authorities. The agency contract was ended. The money was traced. The full picture came out, and it was, as Ben had suspected, much bigger than 12 cleaning jobs. Helen had been redirecting contracts for almost a year. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Se was gone. And the 12 people who had lost their jobs, all 12 of them, got a call. Mary got a call on a Wednesday evening. Joy was studying at the table. Tom was doing maths on the floor. The pot on the stove smelled of pepper, soup, and rice. Ben's voice on the phone was warm. He explained everything. The investigation. The result, her job, better than before, with proper pay, proper hours, proper everything, and her name spelled correctly this time, on a real contract. Mary listened to all of it. When Ben finished, she was quiet. Then she said, "The others. The other 11 people, are they all being called?" "Yes," Ben said. "Every one of them." Muddy nodded. She was standing at the stove with the phone against her ear and her other hand still holding the cooking spoon. "Good," she said. "That is the right thing to do." "Mary," Ben said, "Marcus wanted me to tell you personally, your name is spelled correctly on the contract. He knows it was wrong before. He is sorry it took so long to fix." Mary was quiet for a moment. "Tell him," she said slowly, "that it is all right. And tell him that the next time he sees someone on the floor, look at their face before you walk away." Ben laughed softly. "I will tell him exactly that." Mary hung up the phone. Joy looked up from her books. "Mama, come and eat first," Mary said. "Then I will tell you everything." Joy cried when she heard it. Not sad crying, the other kind. The kind that comes when something painful finally ends and something good begins. Tom asked only one question, with his serious 14-year-old face. "Did the man say sorry?" Mary thought about it. "He came back," she said. "Many times. He sat at our table. He listened. He changed what was wrong." She paused. "Sometimes that is the longest and most honest way of saying sorry." Tom nodded. He went back to his maths. 6 months passed. The city kept moving. The sun came up every morning and went down every evening. Life, as it always does, continued. Mary went back to work. Not as a cleaner, though there is no shame in that work, and she would tell anyone who suggested otherwise exactly what she thought of their attitude. She went back as the facilities manager of the entire building. The whole team, all the floors, all the people, reported to her. She knew them all by name within her first week. She knew which floors needed extra attention on Monday mornings. She knew which staff member was saving for a school uniform, and which one was sending money home to their mother. She ran that department the way she had always run everything. Quietly, completely, and very well. Her name on the door was spelled correctly. She had checked it herself. Twice. Joy's tuition was no longer a worry. The back pay, the weeks of wages owed to Mary, was enough to clear the gap in Joy's school fees, and then some. Joy finished her first year in the top 5 of her class. She called Mary on the day the results came in and cried on the phone. The good kind of crying again. Tom won a regional maths competition. Mary kept the small certificate on the wall above the stove, where she could see it every morning. As for Marcus, Marcus changed. Not all at once, not in a big dramatic way, but the changes were real and they were lasting. He learned names. All of them. Everyone in the building. From the security guards, to the accountants, to the woman who brought tea on the 8th floor every morning at 9. He asked questions, and he remembered the answers. He came down from his high floor, and he walked through the building the way his mother used to walk through the market, stopping, talking, seeing. His daughter Sarah came home from university for the holidays and found a father who was present, who sat at meals, who put the phone away, who asked how she was, and then waited, really waited, for the answer. Papa, Sarah said one evening. They were sitting together at the window. The city lit up below them. You seem different. I am different, Marcus said. What changed you? Se ask it. He was quiet for a moment. He thought about a lobby floor and 2 fingers on his wrist. He thought about a small, warm house smelling of pepper and rice. He thought about a woman who had every reason to walk away and did not walk away. Someone showed me, he said. That strength is not about how high up you are. He paused. It is about what you do when someone needs you, and whether you stay. Sarah looked at him. Who was this person? A woman named Mary, he said. She cleaned these floors for 10 years. I never once said good morning to her. He was quiet for a moment. I say good morning now. Sarah put her head on his shoulder. Outside, the city hummed and glittered. Good, she said softly. Friends, the man who fired a woman without knowing her name learned, in the end, what names are for. A name is not just a word. A name is a door. When you learn a person's name, you open that door. You say, I see you. You are real. You are here. You matter. You matter. Mary had always known this. She had known it when she cleaned floors in the dark at 5:30 in the morning. She had known it when she wiped the mirrors that other people looked into. She had known it when she knelt on a cold lobby floor and counted the pulse of a man who had never looked at her face. She did not help him because he deserved it. She helped him because she was the kind of person who helps. Because no amount of being dismissed or overlooked or put on a list and crossed off, no amount of that had ever changed who she was inside. That is what is called character, friends. Real character. The kind that does not need anyone watching. The kind that shows up even when it hurts. The kind that cannot be fired. The man who had everything. The tall building. The big office. The city spread below him like a map of his own success, had spent years looking down. He had forgotten how to look across, how to look at the person standing right beside him. He remembered now. And that, friends, that is the whole of the story. Thank you for being here with us today. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and click the bell so you never miss a story like this one. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And watch our next story. It is right here, waiting for you.